So this is what I have developed so far. Again, splash screen, just like the last time. This time, as you can see, there are a lot more practice apps added to the menu. And previously, this is what I created at the end of the session. Just to give you a little overview, this is what it does. You can go back and forth. And I added 1, 2, 3, 4 more applications to this menu this time. The first one, RSVP, Rapid Serial Visual Presentation Application, English version. What it does is it uses the approach, a pretty famous approach, Rapid Serial Visual Presentation. This app displays English text in a manner similar to Rapid Serial Visual Presentation. But what it does is that it displays a sentence. But instead of showing the whole sentence at a time, it displays a chunk of words at a time instead of a single word at a time. And the size of each chunk was determined based on the contrastive analysis of English and Japanese language structures. I have chosen the optimal chunk sizes to force Japanese ELLs to explicate the sentences according to English word order and to prevent them from explicating the English text according to Japanese word order. And a Japanese version will do the same thing, exactly the same thing, but in Japanese. So it's designed to help the Japanese English language learners to get used to the English word order, or thought order, I might call it. And also I learned a little neat technique, a tab technique. So I decided to integrate these two into one application like this. So there are 3 tabs. I'm using the first 2 tabs. And this one is for future development. So for example, if I click on this tab, it does the same thing. It's a Japanese version of RSVP application. I forgot to show you this, but if you want to stop it, you just have to click on the screen. To resume, you click on the screen. On a touch device, you touch on the screen. Then it resumes again from where you stopped. Again, stop, click and resume. And lastly, it's pretty simple application, personal dictionary. So it's like a little notepad you can take with you and whenever you see new words or learn a new word, you just make a note of it. So you don't have to carry a traditional pencil and a tiny notebook with you anymore. You put this app on your phone or tablet and it's all there always. Later on, I might actually resize the buttons, but for now I think it'll do. And I used English labels instead of Japanese labels for the demonstration purpose, but this is designed for Japanese English learners. So for real, I would change these labels to Japanese language. So if you click on the view, you can actually see your personal dictionary. I only have 1 entry so far. Goldfish is Kinyo. Okay, let's go back. And suppose you learned something new, or you heard something you don't understand. You make a note here. Okay, for example, let's say genius. I of course know the word. I'm going to switch to keyboard because this is set to Japanese keyboard. Okay, now genius. Genius. Okay. Then you can save it as is, success. And if you go back to the view, the new entry has been added. It's a genius. But later on, you might want to actually add the Japanese translation to it. So I'm going to add it now. Okay, to update the entry, you have to provide the ID number for the information you want to edit. So that was number 2. So I'll put 2 and get information first, and here it is. I got the information right here, and then you add the information. You edit the information actually on the screen. Okay, that's tensai. Right, then you click edit entry. Okay, I just edited the entry, so let's take a look at the view to see if it's been edited or not. Now it's been edited. What if I made a mistake? I go back again, then provide the ID number and display the info first. So let's try to display the ID number 1. So suppose I want to edit this. Okay, I'm going to edit it. Okay, now to update, click on edit entry. To see if it's been edited or not, you can just go to view and see it's been edited. Suppose I want to delete the second entry. You provide the ID number and 2, get the information, and you make sure it is the one you want to delete. Then you click delete entry, and it's been deleted. You don't see it here. I didn't make an output. Well, actually output is hidden underneath this. I'm gonna have to do something but suppress a keyboard for that. Anyway, okay, so I deleted the entry. So let's go back and view if it's been deleted or not. It's gone. And for this app, I use the SQLite database that's part of the Android SDK. Unlike the a typical relational database like MySQL, I don't know how to directly access the tables and edit them. So that's the drawback. Maybe there's a way, but I just don't know. Maybe there's an application to edit the table directly visually. It must be a graphic UI to do that. I just don't know. So I had to manually process everything by using a code, Java and XML. So here's a personal dictionary class I created, and this script processes the data. And one more, this script displays the data. This XML format the display for the view. It's a graphic interface here. And this XML format main page or entry page, the form page. And here's XML, and it's a graphic version. I don't really want to get into the details about the coding here, but this process data class, as you can see, I'm using a series of SQL statements here. Create table, and the elements, attributes to be created with the parameters, and also drop table. The query syntax is a little bit different from PHP, but the idea is pretty similar, so it wasn't so hard to understand this after we went over the PHP and MySQL in other class. Here, and it's not really visible in here, not really obvious, but it uses the same idea. For example, it's just 3 variables here, parameters here, but the second one, for example, is a where clause. So that section goes in there, for example. Okay, let's go back to the menu. RSVP exercise here. This, for example, uses something really interesting, and I want to show something. And this is definitely not the optimum way to create the application like this, but as you can see, it is such a bad coding. And you can see that this big huge block is just repetition of the same format. Difference is just a number. So I tried to create a loop and I failed. Let me show you. I really did try to create a loop to make it shorter. See here, I try to create a loop for statement, for loop here, and I really couldn't, apply the for loop to the numbers here. I managed to apply the for loop for the array here, so that with this loop, so I can make this loop work for these two variables here. Unlike PHP, Java didn't like mixing up the different variable types. My for loop produces a string value, and it produces numbers correctly. Each time it's going to produce the numbers starting from 0 all the way up to the end. And I managed to apply those numbers to this part, but these numbers and this number, when I tried to apply the numbers, they didn't like it, because Java is kind of strict about the variable types, and these are text view, and this is a layout view. When I try to treat this as a string and just combine the string and number to create these variables by using a for loop, I didn't like it. It didn't like the string value that I created. Because it had to be a text view type. So instead of using the for loop, I stopped and got this work done by simply making all the references manually. So it's so long. There are like 89 of them. So I need to understand for loop or other looping options, and also I need better understanding of the variable types, how you work around various variable types in Java. Anyway, another thing is I simply use the 89 variables here. So I thought we were using array instead of creating 89 variables like this, but working between array and variables, I ran into a lot of trouble. So that's how much I can do at this point. So this is what I did. And unlike my PHP and MySQL project, I didn't know a very easy way to manage the data, database data with the Android SDK. Only thing I learned was SQLite database, in which I don't even know where it exists. I think my impression was it's a virtual database. You can't really directly edit. So instead of using database, I thought it much simpler just to use array. So I decided to just stick with the array instead of using the virtual database. It's so much easier to edit this way. And one thing to note is that I use a really interesting view called Flipper to do this. What that is it's like a special view for creating a flipping flashcard or something. So you can basically flip the screen to left and right to flip through the pages. That's what it's doing actually. It's flipping pages. So it's not really like it's outputting text, string of text onto the same page. Instead, it's creating numbers of pages with the string text on them. But instead of having user flip through them, I just made it automatic flips. So again, I don't think that's the best approach in this way either. But with the limited knowledge I have, that seems like the easiest way and optimum way to create something like this. So that's what I did this time. So I won't be selling this definitely, but as you can see, there's so many files like Java class files, and here are XML layouts, and I learned how to put them all together as a menu like this. So it doesn't have to be one big complicated program. You can create several different programs if they don't have to interact with each other too much. Then you can just use a menu to put them together as one application. I like that approach a lot. So this is what I did this time. So I call this a version 2 of my Android app. I definitely need to clean up this app and removing unnecessary things. In the future development, I'm going to keep the same concept and ideas. and goals, but I might have to use different approaches, different methods, techniques, and rewrite the whole thing. But after going through 125 lessons, I have come to be able to do this from total zero, nothing. So I think it was a success. Finally, I am comfortable to call myself beginning Android app developer.